This is indeed a disturbing universe.
Hello, greetings, and welcome. Welcome to the Stereo 999 YouTube channel. I'm your host, the artist formerly known as Stereo Steve, and I am here chilling with my pal, Mr. Gopher. Say hi, Mr. Gopher.
Hi, Mr. Gopher.
What a week, what a week. What a day, what a morning. As I'm filming this, it's like 6 o'clock on Saturday morning. I'm banging this out in a hurry. I don't know what kind of craziness is going to happen this day, but
Hey, Steve, before you get too into this, I gotta ask you, what the hell was up with last week's video? You were all getting mad about some shit that happened 10 years ago, and then you're like flipping off the camera, and the video was really good up until that point. What?
I was hungover. I was hungover. That happens when I'm hungover. I garbage from the past. Yeah, it's true, man, but there's a lot more recent stuff to be pissed off about these days. You should keep it current. The events of this past week made me realize that we are indeed living in a simulation. Hear me out. We lost Sly Stone and Brian Wilson. They were both 82. I gotta say though, I've gotta give both of them props for living as long as they did with all the shit that they went through in their lives. But two icons of music, two icons of California music. Northern California for Sly, Southern California for Brian Wilson. Two icons of California music left this world during a time when California is under siege. At the same time, it's just too much of a coincidence. Also, what was the album by Sly that is considered to be his masterpiece? There's a riot going on. At the end of side 1, it lists there's a riot going on lasting 0 minutes and 0 seconds. But who did the absolutely worst version of the song There's a Riot Going On? That's right, the Beach Boys. On their brilliant, beautiful album, Surf's Up. It also has a song called Student Demonstration Time, which is a rewrite of There's a Riot Going On, where Mike Love basically mocks all the students that were protesting the Vietnam War, including victims of Kent State. And what are Mike's beloved's politics these days? But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about music. But I just thought that was a coincidence, and you know. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show my collections of Beach Boys and Sly Stone material. I don't have huge, massive collections like most people do, but I have just solid, like, half dozen records by each artist that are the ones that spoke to me, the ones that came into my circle for me to own. And I hope you enjoy it. I don't know what else to say. But let's just get on with it. Okay, so for tribute to Sly Stone, I'm going to do just what I got. And I don't have everything there is to have, but I'm just going to show what I do have in my collection. I'm going to start with 45s. Hot Fun in the Summertime. And of course on the original 7-inch 45, it's in mono. And the B-side is Fun from the album Life, which I don't have. Running Away, one of my most favorite tracks off of There's a Riot Going On. Running away to get away with Brave and Strong on the B-side. Single Family Affair, backed with Love and Hate, which on Hate Street there used to be a deli called Love and Hate. And this is just kind of a weird one. I don't really know the story behind this. This is Rock Dirge Part 1 and Part 2, Rock Dirge by Sly Stone on Woodcock Records. Sylvester Stewart being Sly's given name. And it sounds like an instrumental outtake from There's a Riot Going On. This is an OG copy of the debut album, A Whole New Thing, which you don't see very often. There was a reissue later on that had a different cover, but this with this cover is the first Sly Stone album. And if you're a fan of the Dirt Bombs, this has the original version of the song Underdog that they covered. The second album, a little more commercially successful, Dance to the Music, one of his first big hits. Great liner notes. I wouldn't trade my group for all the tea in Mexico. And there's a great jam on here, the 12-minute long Dance to the Medley. And Higher, which is kind of a precursor to Want to Take You Higher. And I Ain't Got Nobody, for real. And of course, Stand. This was really the breakthrough album with the songs Everyday People, Everybody is a Star, The Long Jam, Sex Machine. And it's one of the essential ones, along with There's a Riot Going On. I got this later on. I got my first copy of this, which you'll see later, is the CD reissue with the different cover. There was also a vinyl reissue with a different cover that had the picture of the crowd on the front cover instead of the flag. But yeah, what hasn't already been said about this great album? Okay, and this is the greatest hits with this great picture in the gatefold of Sly in his full garb with the band and liner notes. And it's got Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself, Want to Take You Higher, Everyday People, Hot Fun in the Summertime. And this is a later pressing on this blue Epic label. I also have a different copy of this. I have a quadraphonic version because there are some noticeably different mixes, especially Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself is a longer version on the quadraphonic. And Hot Fun in the Summertime is stereo mix. But yeah, if you want to learn more about the SQ quadraphonic system, which separated sound among 4 speakers, then just pause it and read this inner sleeve here. See the grooves, and it shows little diagrams of how the grooves vibrate the needle to spread the information. But yeah, fresh. This one is also essential because the hit song, this came out after the greatest hits, and it's got If You Want Me to Stay, and Que Sera Sera, and In Time, and yeah, so that's my Sly vinyl.
A few minutes later.
Okay, so gonna show my collection of Beach Boys records now. I know a lot of people who have tons and tons of Beach Boys and are super obsessive fans, and this is pretty minimal compared to what one of them will show you, but this is what I have as far as Beach Boys in my collection. Little Deuce Coupe, you know, from their surf music days. I had the Little Deuce Coupe Surfer Girl 45, but it got lost in a misadventure of bad judgment when I was very young. That's all I'm going to say about that. But this has Shut Down, Spirit of America, Car Club. So this is all kind of the car songs mostly. Custom Machine, Little Deuce Coupe, of course, Ballad of Old Betsy, and 409, Be True to Your School. That's pretty cool. Still has the other albums you can buy, Capital Inner Sleeve in it. And probably my favorite Beach Boys record, for real, All Summer Long, which was playing in the closing credits of American Graffiti. But it's got I Get Around and the title track, awesome song, Little Honda, Wendy. And it's got one of those filler tracks, Our Favorite Recording Sessions, where they're just talking. But this is a really nice original mono rainbow label, Capital. Don't ask me what pressing plant, but I used to have a real beat up copy, and now I have this nice copy, which makes me happy. Fun, fun, fun. This was the 70s reissue of what was originally known as Shut Down Volume 2. Might be truncated because I think there's only 10 songs on it. But this is solid. It's got Fun, 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 Don't Worry, Baby, Warmth of the Sun, cover of Why Do Fools Fall in Love, and Shut Down Part 2, which is instrumental, and Louie Louie, because why not? It's got to have Louie Louie. And in the 70s and thereafter, this was the compilation album that resurged the popularity of early Beach Boys, called Endless Summer. This is a later pressing with the Capital Rainbow label, because the OGs had the orange Capital label. But I guess that's supposed to be Brian selling balloons for $0.25. But it's a great collection of hits. Help Me Rhonda, California Girls, In My Room, I Get Around, Surfer Girl, and yeah. Hippie Beach Boys on the cover, but Surfer Beach Boys on the record. And this is Carl and the Passions, So Tough, from 1972, which was the reissue of Pet Sounds, was repackaged in a double album with So Tough as one record and Pet Sounds as the second record. Of course, Pet Sounds is the acknowledged masterpiece. What with Wouldn't It Be Nice and God Only Knows, and ahead of its time for the 60s arrangements and harmonies. But great sounding pressing of Pet Sounds. You know, if you get this double, doesn't cost an arm and a leg. It says here, this recording is pressed in mono sound the way Brian cut it. Of course, this is the picture of the 1972 Beach Boys with Ricky. Is that Ricky, who later joined, was later part of the Ruddles Beatles parody? Anyway. Smiley Smile. Smile didn't come out, but they recorded kind of a minimalist, weird version of Smile, called it Smiley Smile, which has Good Vibrations. I think this was the first release on their brother label. Good Vibrations, Heroes and Villains. Some of this kind of sounds like The Residents. This is a real kooky, drug-damaged Beach Boys record. Sunflower. Underrated masterpiece. Again, this was from 1970. I first heard the song This Whole World on one of those Warner Brothers compilations. But Sunflower is a great record. Add some music to your day. This Whole World. Cool, Cool Water. And yeah, this is a prime slice of early 70s hippie Beach Boys. And Surf's Up, which is a masterpiece, except for like one or two songs that I consider clunkers. This is the ad for those mail-in compilation albums. And Hot Platters had the song Feel Flows, which is a beautiful song. I don't think it's a Brian song, though. I believe Feel Flows is a Carl song. And you might have heard Feel Flows in the movie Almost Famous. But there's some great songs. There's kind of a downer vibe to it with like Don't Go Near the Water and Long Promised Road. I remember a friend of mine called this record Bad Vibrations. But it's got Till I Die and Surf's Up that were part of the Smile Project. And yeah, used to have an 8-track of this. Holland, they recorded this album in Holland, which is why it's called Holland. Has a hit song, Sail On Sailor. And again, it's, you know, the kind of 70s hippie Beach Boys. Let's So we've got the lyric sheet here. And this also has the 7-inch that's called Mount Vernon and the Fairway, a fairy tale. Please listen in the dark. And this was kind of a conceptual piece that Brian came up with that kind of tells a story. And it's was just thrown into the album as a bonus 7-inch. Last but not least, Beach Boys in Concert, 1972 live album. It's on Reprise. This is definitely an underrated gem because, I mean, they do, as far as the songs, they do a combination of their old hits and their current songs. Good Vibrations, Surfing USA, Sailors, California Girls. And there's some more pictures from that. That's my Beach Boys vinyl.
Can you imagine listening to your favorite LPs and hearing absolutely no noise or distortion in the background? Compact disc players let you do just that.
Time for Compact Disc Corner. Compact Disc Corner. Compact Disc Corner, yeah. All right, welcome to another Compact Disc Corner. I don't know, should I do these every week? Let me know in the comments. Mainly because I really like that intro that I just made. Anyway, continuing on this episode's theme of Sly Stone and Brian Wilson. This is Fresh on CD. Got this at Tower Records before I had the album on vinyl. Back in the 90s. This is the 1987 Edsel issue. And looks like they ran out of toner when they printed this. Got kind of a grayish look to it. I know it's not toner. It's also got like a cutout bin punch out hole. But like I said before, Fresh, great album. If You Want Me to Stay. From the Columbia House Record Club, this was my first copy of There's a Riot Going On. And as you can see, it's the picture inside the gatefold that they made the front cover. There are also vinyl reissues that have that. But this is Collector's Choice, super low budget. They don't really give you a lot. No extensive liner notes in the booklet, just the song titles. But yeah, they don't list the title track at 0 seconds like they do on the original vinyl. This I was very stoked to get. This was, when was it? Around the year 2000, when they started reissuing like two Beach Boys albums on one CD. And these are kind of my favorites of their early 70s hippie era. Sunflower should have been huge, which is kind of obscure, well worth getting. And Surf's Up has some beautiful songs. Interestingly enough, the CD is Capitol Brother Records, even though the original records were Warner Brothers Brother Records. Brian Wilson presents Smile. It was 2004 that Brian Wilson finally got to realize the conceptual album that broke his brain trying to record in 1967. But this is, as of 2004, the official version, with which he took on tour and played live. Again, this is one of those titles where the vinyl is super expensive and hard to find, but the CD is plentiful. Friends. This is another kind of, I like how it has this orange and yellow swirl label. But Friends is a collection of really catchy short songs. And it's a fan favorite. And this also contains the album 2020, which has the song Never Learn Not to Love, which was written by one of their friends that shouldn't have been one of their friends, old Uncle Charlie.
Do you feel blame? Are you mad? Do you feel like Wolf's Bob Rufflanis?
Yeah. And last but not least, I got this back in the 90s from this guy who was selling CDs on the sidewalk. Said this was very special because this is the 1987 Japanese CD of Pet Sounds. I'm not 100% sure, but I think the reason that this Japanese CD was such a big deal is because this is the first appearance of the track Hang On to Your Ego on CD, which is kind of a rare and collectible pressing. There are rare and collectible pressings of compact discs. Of course, it was just the homeless CD with no cover, and it was just a couple bucks. But don't get too excited there. Those scratches are just on the cover. They're not on the disc. Okay, so that was my video. I hope you dug it. Me and Mr. Gopher wholeheartedly thank you for taking a few minutes to view and hang out with me. And, you can like the video, leave a comment, any of that stuff, help out the algorithm. Not like it's going to make that much of a difference, but it's good to hear from some of my regulars who watch me all the time. And if you're a first-time viewer, I'd love to have you check in. Anyway, peace. Both fingers, as it should be. Peace to y'all.